What's going on, everyone? So, the upcoming Scream 7. One of the questions that I kind of have is how will they approach this upcoming Scream? So, supposedly, Scream 8 is greenlit and ready to go. So, are they going to kind of break ground as far as this film goes? And what I mean by that is, no, is it going to be as straightforward as the previous Scream films, right? Basically have, the opening scene, then you have kind of the whodunit mystery, kills in between, and then you got the big reveal, and then you have the hero save the day type thing, right? Is that the approach that they will go, right? Will they break the mold? There's all kinds of rumors and speculations about them doing this and that and the other that would break the mold, but at the end of the day, you never know. Everything's a rumor, everything's speculation until we actually get the movie or confirmed by the studio or whatnot. But I'm all for them doing new things, being creative, right? In such something like, an early reveal. We got that with Jason and Greg, but they weren't the main killers or, kind of the killers driving the story, right? So there is supposed to be a chase scene for Sydney and Tatum, and with Tatum is her Sydney's daughter, right? I would love if we got at the end of that a Ghostface reveal, or maybe Sydney takes out that Ghostface, and you get an early Ghostface kill, and then mask comes off, and it's like, oh wow, right? Especially if they go like kind of the cult route, right? So instead of following the basic formula that we've gotten pretty much for 6 films, Scream 6 kind of did some different things there, but for the most part, it's all kind of just been what every other Scream movie has been, which is fine, right? I'm all for the blueprint. I like the blueprint, right? But I'm okay with them as long as it keeps Scream what it is, right? You don't want to start turning it into this craziness, right? You don't want to start making it all like diluted or whatnot, right? Or too convoluted, right? Like you want to keep it, what Scream is, the inherence. But I would be okay with them, again, if they want to go the cult route that they've set up at Scream 5 now with the dreaded thread and, Kirby in Scream 6 revealing that, hey, there's Ghostface all over the place. And that's what she specializes in, taking down and hunting Ghostface. It's just we're on this specific timeline centered around Sam, like these specific people, these specific characters. But there's all this other stuff going on behind the scenes. It's why we're getting a Kirby series, or film. I don't believe we have the exact what it's going to be, but we're getting a Kirby movie, some type of film coming forward, right? So to me, I'm all for them kind of breaking the mold in creative ways as long as you're keeping what Scream is. But also, execution is important, right? Good storytelling, and then the approach in which you go about it, right? Because we've all seen movies or a show or something where it's like great idea, poor execution, or great idea but just the delivery wasn't right? Like the story wasn't good enough. And in the same breath, we've seen things where like it sounds like a terrible idea, but then pen to paper, it's like, oh wow, that actually worked out, right? We've all seen a movie where it's just like, that sounds silly, right? That sounds kind of goofy. And then lo and behold, it was like, oh, hey, that worked. That was something that really, played out better than anticipated, right? So to me, I'm always for them trying to break the mold and change, just be creative, right? I like the early reveal of Jason and Greg, and, something that I talked about with Scream 6 that I really liked. However you feel about that particular sequel, I do like that it was branched out. Something that I've talked about with Scream historically, it's always been very confined. You're kind of like in a house, or you're in a backlot studio, or you're kind of in these just like, Scream 2, great example. They're in college, right? If you've ever been to college, you're never on campus unless you got like a project or something, or there's like something, event or something like that. But like they're just always on campus, right? Just that's all they do is just be on campus. Where I thought Scream 6 did a better job of executing that, right? Like they made it clear, okay, they're in college, they're on campus, Blackburn College, right? But then you see them, they're at a frat party, right? They're living their best lives. They're going to the bodega and using the subway and doing all these things. So you got all these different sets, right? Just kind of, again, you kept Scream what it was, but you had these differences. Jason and Greg, big reveal, but it didn't like break what Scream is. So I'm all for Scream 7 if you want to do a cliffhanger, right? If you want to have kind of this, the typical trajectory of Scream that ultimately leads into a Ghostface getting away. I do think for the majority, you probably need and want to have a reveal, right? I don't think that they'll go the route where there's no reveal. But they've always teased and had the idea of a cliffhanger. I mean, technically, Scream always has, right? The Ghostface slashing at the end of the movie and whatnot and coming up on the screen. That's always been kind of like the signal that, hey, a new Scream is coming. The only one that didn't do it was Scream 3 because that was supposed to be the end, right? That was supposed to be the conclusion of the story and the Sydney story and all of that. Then you got Scream 4, and then that was supposed to be the beginning of a new trilogy. Obviously Wes Craven and his passing, rest in peace. But now you have this new installment, right? Same thing. So I want to see them kind of push boundaries a little bit and be a little creative, and you don't have to be as black and white, so to speak, about the way that you approach this. Keep the inherents, right? Keep the things that make Scream scream. I'm like, even the darker approach, right? That's something that I've loved about Scream 5 and 6. Right? I talked about like Scream 5 makes sense for Amber because all the kills were surprise kills. They were all essentially sneak attacks, right? Like Wes, and you look at Judy, and even obviously Dewey, right? Where a lot of people goes, it couldn't have been Amber, but if you watch that scene, right? Dewey overpowered Ghostface, won the fight against Ghostface, even with the knife and everything like that, and then went back, got distracted, and boom, right? Gets taken out. If he doesn't get distracted, he takes out Ghostface, right? And I've even seen people, I don't want to make this Dewey video, but I've even seen people be like, oh, that was silly. Like, Dewey's always done that. Watch Scream 2, right? A killer's actively chasing after him. He knows this, and he's all distracted by pizza on the floor and, messing around. Like, it just, boom, comes up and gets stabbed. Like, that's Dewey's character. But break the mold, be a little different, right? Like, let's explore some new ideas, right? I'd rather you experiment and try and it doesn't quite hit, but at least you did something, right? Then just, hey, let's do the same old run of the mill, right? Again, there's nothing wrong with the original formula, right? It's a very simple formula, but I do think once you start getting into 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Like, once you start getting into these things, obviously you don't want it to become what, Halloween has been, or Jason has been, Friday the 13th, or even some of the Freddy movies where they just kind of start becoming something else, right? I don't want to see that happen, but if you can keep the inherents, but also kind of push the envelope a little bit, I'm all for that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Disagree? Kind of mixed? In the middle? Do you think no, keep it straightforward? Do you think, no, hey, let's explore some stuff, right? Like what they did in Scream 6. How do you feel? Either way, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.